We are live.
Woohoo! Hello!
So, hello everybody.
Hello!
And our topics today are book clubs, buddy reads, and readathons. So it's gonna be a very chill talk today. But first, please introduce yourself.
I am the Reading Witch from the Reading Witches channel. My internet name is me. I am reading kind of all over the place, but mainly YA, and I am in a reading slump, a very long one. And I still have sound on very loud. Okay. And yeah, I read mainly contemporary and fantasy and graphic novels. And I recently moved. That's basically all about me right now.
Hi, I'm Sasha from the Wild Sasha. I took, mostly like YA, I want to say, but I started to read more and more middle grade and adult books, and I'm a bit tired of the regular, like, usual trope we find in YA, I feel. But I will always read fantasy and sci-fi because that's what I prefer. I'm still in Belgium. I haven't moved like me. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
So, and hello, I'm Lucienne. You're my channel, The Dreamy Reader, today. And well, you know what I mostly read if you are subscribed to me for a long time. Mostly fantasy and lately a lot of non-fictional books. So, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me at the moment. But
that's not wrong.
No, it's not.
But let's start our really chill talk with what is your preferred way of reading together? Because I believe book clubs, buddy reads, and readathons are all ways of reading books together as a group or in pairs. So, what do you like to do most?
Who wants to start?
like with everything else, for me, it's like very much dependent on my mood. Like, if I know I have like a week off or something for reading, and I know I will be like continuously reading like my chapters a day or something, then I really like to read like with a group or like a few selected people, just to know like have this like daily conversation. But if it's like I have like a work week ahead of me and I know I have a few stressful appointments or something, then I prefer like buddy reads or like non-scheduled book clubs, where it's just like you read this over a month and you have like, I know, like on Discord, like group chats where you can talk about a certain chapters, but not like read a chapter a day. So basically, depending on the time I have, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty much the same for me because I'm a mood reader, and sometimes I feel like buddy reading a book. Sometimes I'm gonna focus on the books I need to read, like for myself or readathons or other book clubs, whatever. I don't really know how I prefer to read a book, if it's like a buddy read just with one person or with a group or for a book club or whatever. I just feel like sometimes I'm going to be like in a reading mood. I want to read 2-3 chapters a day. And then the book doesn't allow that, or the book is played in a way that doesn't help with that kind of reading. And then I'm like all over the place and I'm not in a reading mood anymore. So it really depends. But I find it very motivating to actually read with other people. I'm not talking here about readathons, but really like a buddy read or a book club or whatever, especially when it's like more than one person. Like, I love reading with one friend, but I love also.
So, I actually find readathons stressing a lot. Like, it's just when I have to pick one that I would least do, it would be readathons, because I'm really stressed out by them. Like, you have this list of books you need to, or like the prompts that you need to complete. So that always really, really stresses me out. book clubs, I always feel like, well, you have a lot of people that are reading this book, so no one depends on me to read the book actually. So I'm often like sneaking away from actually reading it. So I really do prefer buddy reads a lot, like with one other person or maybe two other persons, like where you have a small group and people are really keeping you accountable if you have not read your chapters for the day. So that's what I really, really do like to do a lot.
Yeah. It can be very stressful. I don't know if we are going to talk on the stressful side of it a bit later in your plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to talk about it now.
Well, I mean, we can also talk about it now if you want to talk. If you want to talk about it, if you have something that you really need to put out into.
No, we can save it for later. But I found it very interesting what you said, that you feel like you have to read when it's like a small group of buddy reads. Like if you read with one person or two, like you're like, okay, if I don't read on time, they will be waiting for me, and then everyone's going to be late because of me. So I have to read it. So that's actually an interesting point, because I forgot to mention that as well. But it's actually a motivation key, like, but yeah, that you don't have for readathons, whatever, and for readathons as well, like, it can be like overwhelming.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
So the question that I think where Sasha can probably talk a lot about is, how do you choose a book club, and are you in a book club? And also Sasha is leading a book club. So I think that is absolutely Sasha's topic to talk about now.
Yeah, I have a book club named the Howling Pack. So basically, it's a very chill one. We read a book every month. We're going to read a few chapters a day, or sometimes it's split in weeks. Like, it depends on how the book has been split by the author. But there is no live at the end. It's just like chatting with friends, etc. So it's a very, very chill one. I'm not like the best at doing that, because sometimes I'm gonna get behind and forget to read, or because work, or because life, whatever. I used to have one in which, like, every month we will do a live, but I don't know, it felt like stressful because reading slump happened, because sometimes you cannot read, and when you are supposed to meet people online, it can be like hard on yourself. Like, as we said, it can be a motivation as well, but it can be hard. So I switched to this way, very chill. And how to choose, actually, that's a problem I'm facing, because there are so many book clubs I want to be a part of, like the Middle Grade Monthly. I'm also the Sisterhood traveling book, but also there are others by friends, and I just want to read all the books because I want to be a part of it, but also just to show my support to my friends. And at the end of the month, I'm like, I haven't read anything because I had too much to read. So it's really hard. So an advice I would give is that check the books you have. Check book clubs that will maybe read the books you already have, or books you're already planning on reading, and maybe join that way. Just a way to start, so it's not overwhelming. But it's also very interesting. Like, it's not because you're not going to read a book every single month for one book club that you're a bad member of that book club. I mean, I feel bad for not reading a book for every single book club every single month, but that's not possible, and that's fine. I mean, in my opinion.
I would also say, look how the book club works. Like, I love to join in on Sasha's book club because you read interesting books. And what I really like is, like, at the beginning of the month, Sasha always puts up like a schedule of when to read what chapter. And that really helps me just to decide, like, okay, I know that is like the workload I'm putting on myself. So I'm also in this Twitter group where it's like, basically, yeah, we're going to read this book that month, but like, it's mainly like, there is a book we want to read, but like no further like structure or something. And I really struggle with that. And that is like something I would also recommend. Find like a book club that works like how you like to read.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm also in this Twitter book club, and I'm also always sneaking away from reading, as I just mentioned before. I'm like, what? I've actually read the first book, but like the second book for this month, I totally forget because I'm often taking breaks from Twitter just for mental health reasons. So I'm always missing out on stuff. Oh, we're gonna read that now. Oh, I totally forgot. So that's what generally happens. I'm actually not in a lot of book clubs, or not really. Simply because often I would have to buy the book and I'm not interested in buying the book. So that's what happens a lot of times, or I'm just really skeptical sometimes because there are so mixed reviews about the book. So I don't want to buy it, or if I have it, I don't want to read it right now because I'm afraid it will put me into reading slump if it's not living up to the expectations. Yeah, so these are struggles that I often have with book clubs. But a book club I found really interesting, and I'm thinking about joining, is the book club of traveling books. I don't know if you've heard about it. I think it's just really interesting that they have a lot of books, and you can just gonna choose one that you're interested in, and then they put you on the list for like sending it to you, and it goes through a lot of people when they write into the book as well their thoughts about what happens, and then one day you just read it with all the notes on the side. I just think that's really beautiful. But I'm also afraid because often these are very long fantasy books and you don't know when you recite them. So it could actually throw off my complete reading plan for the month if it just lands on my doorstep.
Yeah.
So are you
but that
interested?
yeah.
No, just keep on talking. I just wanted to ask a question, but you have.
But I was saying, so I did a live with the Sisterhood Traveling Book Club that you just mentioned, and I'm coming in live like in January, I feel, February, and then March, April. I will be in another live with them. And actually, they have two book clubs. So the one with one book every single month and with people they are inviting, etc. And then you have the one that they are exchanging, like Yumi, Cheyenne, and Ali. They each read a book, then they send to the other, and who will write notes, etc. And I find it super interesting to actually do that. It's actually super cute. So yeah. But you know what?
But
I'm
then
also following another book club. I forgot the name now, but I never read the book for that book club. But actually, they're hosting live reading session all the time, and that actually motivates me. But I never read their books, but I do that.
Yeah, but then also the pressure to write into a book for me is really big. I just can't write into a book. This is also a problem I'm facing then. But yeah, so are there any book clubs you're actually interested in joining? If you haven't mentioned.
For that, I would have to know what is out there. And I've been like really bad with keeping up with like generally bookish things. So the only book club I like to be a part of, if my mood and my time schedule allows it, is like the Howling Pack, because I know it exists and because I like how it exists, and the books are nice, and yeah, it's like a staple for me.
With the Howling Pack, I always think it's amazing because often these are, or for a long time, they often also wear fairy lute books in it, and I was just like, yeah, I have a reason to read them. So that was really fantastic, Sasha. Keep on with that.
But yeah, it really helps. Like whenever, like I used to be subscribed to bookish boxes, and I try to read them, like read the books as soon as possible, because once they're on my shelves, I tend to pick the one I buy and not the one I get in boxes, which is just so bad. I don't get the point, but yeah.
It's always really hard with subscription boxes also because every time I think about unsubscribing from them, they put out a box with a really good book and I'm just like, oh my God, this was so fantastic. Actually, they have really good books. And then for months, books that I don't enjoy, and then one book that I just find so fantastic, and I love that it has this exclusive edition. And then I'm staying subscribed. That's just like
Yeah, I know what you mean. I canceled all my subscription boxes, I mean bookish boxes, like a few months ago. And I kind of feel relieved actually, because now the books I get are the books I really want to get to. And I can actually spend that money I was spending on bookish boxes for books I want. And I feel good about it. It doesn't mean that I won't get a new subscription someday in the future, because I love those boxes. Like, I found them super cool. But yeah, for now, I have other things to buy.
Yeah.
So then maybe what are your experience with a book club?
Like, you're asking for some tea here?
Not really tea, maybe if something is really stressful, or how to avoid stress in a book club. And you already mentioned a tip about just joining book clubs where you have the books for. That's also a really great tip, and something that adds to the experience you have with book clubs, that you're not gonna buy every book for every book club, but just see what you have, so you save your precious money that you worked so hard for.
I would also recommend to give a book club, like when you're in it, like a few months, to see how the people in it are. Like if it's like a regular thing where you have like an established group of people, especially when it's like a smaller group, to see how they read. Like I sometimes stumbled across the fact that I was like critical, or like more critical of the books I read, and I was like, yeah, but that was actually like good. And the people were like, just let me enjoy it. And that is like, you just have to see if you vibe with the people, not just the books. So just give it a few months to see if it actually is for you.
Yeah, 100% agree on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the group, the vibes of the group, the way it's handled. Yeah, but I will say, like, mainly what I notice with myself is that don't get involved in all the book clubs you want to be a part of just because they've been created by friends. It just, like, at one point I was like in 5, 6, 7 book clubs or whatever, and at the end I had a reading slump. I stopped reading because I couldn't. So the experience is just like, try once, twice, and if you're not into book clubs, that's fine as well. Like, not everyone has to be a part of some kind of book clubs. That just like, yeah, that's like for fun. So just try and see which one fits your reading. I mean, how you read, etc. So.
Yeah.
So we also have
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
So hi, welcome. We are talking about book clubs at the moment. Yeah, but I also think that's probably one of the like best advices. Don't join book clubs just because you think you need to join book clubs because you're to Booktube or anything. I just think that's a really important and maybe most important advice here that you could give. Because I definitely think that I had this feeling as well when I started Booktube. Oh my God, I need to participate in all the readathons. I need to body reads. I need to be in book clubs and so on and so on. But actually, you don't need to do all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And you also don't
Like
need to do it like, or yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, just we had that point before. Like, it's okay if you don't participate like in every single read that book club like does. Just to like, either if you selected ones that you like really want to read, or like for a month you just say, well, this month it's too stressful to do a book club, so you can just pause it. You don't have to be there like for every single book.
And And I would just add, like, that's some kind of advice for newbies, but it's normal when you join a community to want to try everything. You want to try book clubs, you want to try buddy read, you want to try readathons. You're not on Twitter, you're going to create yourself an account on Twitter, whatever. There is no need to do any of that. But if you want, you can try everything and see what works for you. And don't feel bad if something is like really not good for you. We are all different. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just joined my first book club with people I know in real life. It's online through, since we live at different places.
That sounds very nice.
I've heard the longing in your voice.
I mean, sometimes I read like do buddy reads with people I know, which mainly just ends in us like sending each other voice messages of screaming about the book. So I don't know how constructive that is. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think having like a book club in real life is probably really amazing. I've never had done those things because a lot of my friends in real life just read different books, like they often read thrillers or horror books, and I'm just not into these books at all. So
Yeah.
book clubs are nearly impossible for us. So, do you have anything more to add to book clubs, actually?
I don't think
I
so.
don't.
So then maybe we can go on to buddy reads. And
Okay.
did you ever buddy read? It's the first question we have to talk about. Yeah. So I see smiling faces. I see a lot of nodding faces. So I believe that's a yes. And
Yes.
which do you want to talk about that? So go ahead. Do you also have some tips for buddy reads?
Well, here I'd also like to make it like a distinction between like, how do I say, like buddy reads and buddies reads, like depending on how big like the group is you read with. If you read like with only one friend, or like if it's like already like a small book club, that sometimes happens, but it's just like for one book over a certain period. So I think it's like a different pattern of behavior almost, if that makes sense.
So the way you approach the reading process, right?
Yeah. Or like the discussion process rather.
Yeah, that's also something that's like I did, of course, tons of buddy reads, but always like the first question is, how do you do that? What are the rules? You know, especially when people have never done any before, and I'm always like, there are no rules. There is no like booktube police or buddy reads police or whatever. You just have to find a way it works for you. And same as for book clubs. Sometimes like I'm gonna read like a book with a friend who likes read a few chapters every single day. Sometimes it's 10 chapters a week. Sometimes it's finishing the book, then we talk about it. You know, it really depends on the person you're reading the book with. And again, it depends if you're a small group, a bigger group, etc. So I would say the first tip is there are no rules.
Yeah, true. But like still establish like a pattern with like the person you're reading with. Like you said, like a certain like amount of chapters or pages, or like after the whole book. But like not just say, yeah, we're gonna read it together and then start reading it, but never end up talking about it.
Yeah. But there are also, I believe, different approaches about how to talk about the book. Like when you do buddy reads, how are you talking about the books? Like I always, when I buddy read, we talk about it at nearly every day when we finish a chapter, and I often do it with a voice mail. Like I'm just sending a voice message about a chapter because I'm always afraid about spoiling a person if I write it in text. So how are you doing it?
That's a good question.
Or are you just reading for the whole month and then at the end of the month you're gonna talk about it? Or week, I don't know how long you take for Buddy Reads to finish a book.
What I have liked is like the chapter approach, saying like we're gonna read like 2 chapters a day, 2 chapters a week, and then the next day we're gonna like text about it, so that we know if we look into a group chat the next day, we know we're gonna be spoiled. So it's kind of like a similar approach to the voice message thing, but it's also like, yeah, I have a certain amount of time, and afterwards the others are gonna move on, and then I also don't have the pressure if they're gonna wait for me.
Yeah. I never share my thoughts on a book before making sure the person has read the chapters we'll be talking about. So, for instance, I've read Ready Player One with Lean recently, and we split the book in three parts. And whenever we finished the first part, we were like, "Okay, I finished. Are you done or not?" And then we will be speaking about it. So yeah, I don't usually share what I think of it. If I really have something to say or to share, I'm gonna go on Notion and write down my thoughts so I can share them to them. I would use like, wow, are you still here?
Yeah.
I can hear you again. Woohoo.
Okay, sorry. I don't know where it stopped. But basically making sure that the person has read the chapters you are about to talk. Or I use Discord, because on Discord I can hide parts of sentences.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's very helpful.
Yeah, so I believe why I always react immediately to a chapter or to what I've read is because I'm still on this high from the chapter or from what I've read, and then I just have to talk it out. If I kind of write it down or leave it for later, I always have the feeling it doesn't come across as I mean it. Like if I'm really excited about something, if I talk about it way later, I don't have this excitement anymore that I had in the moment when I've read it. So I don't know, to maybe get that across, that's why I always react immediately to a chapter. And also just because I need to talk about it. Like if I, especially in fantasy, if I find a clue about something that, oh my God, that's foreshadowing for this and this to happen, then I just have to talk about it. At the moment, because I'm so happy. Oh my God, I found a clue. And yeah. So what kind of books do you actually buddy read? Or do you have a specific genre that you tend to buddy read and others that you just tend to kind of read alone for yourself?
Not really. I think it depends on like the other person. Like usually the majority of people I like buddy read with is like also YA fantasy or YA contemporary. So that is like usually just like a comfort zone to read. But then I also have friends with whom I sometimes read nonfiction, and like the only books I don't buddy read are like the books I usually don't read anyway. Like I'm not very much a historical fiction kind of person. So it's just like a usual reading preferences, I think.
Yeah, makes sense. I feel the same. Like, I don't think there is a genre or whatever I wouldn't feel comfortable reading. Or maybe all the books like self-help books. I don't see the point in maybe buddy reading those books, you know, when you learn how to live with your stress or anxiety or whatever. I feel like it's something personal, and you're gonna get something out of that book that will be good for you, but not that will maybe not mean anything for the others. So I feel like it's a personal journey. But for the rest, I feel like whether is YA, adult, middle grade, or fantasy, sci-fi, like why not person again and the mood.
Yeah, I also think I could nearly read every genre, just that I'm not reading every genre because as I already said, I would never probably read a horror book. So these things, but I believe what some people maybe are also interested in is how actually do you find someone to buddy read with? I believe a lot of people struggle with actually talking to a person that they would like to buddy read something with them, especially if they're like new on BookTube. So maybe we can share some information.
I mean, I think it depends on like what circles you move in anyway. I also think that in networking you do on YouTube and Twitter anyway, or like whatever platform you use where you're like, oh, I really love this book. Okay, let's buddy read it maybe. My main issue is not to find people I would like to buddy read with, but like people who actually are up for buddy reads, because it often happens that it's like, yeah, let's read this together. But then they never actually come back to you, or they're like, yes, let's definitely read like this book next month, and then they never read a book and they never talk to you again. Like this being like, yes, let's do something together, but like just saying it for the sake of saying it. That is like the main issue I face actually.
Whoa.
So
Yeah,
there's
but
not really a talk about the book, yeah. Okay.
but maybe that person also forgot, you know, and
Yeah.
you could just remind that person, because I know whenever I talk about buddy reads, I'm taking notes somewhere to make sure, like, to remember who I said I will be buddy reading a book with. But sometimes it's hard to keep track on what you say. It might be sometimes like genuine and you really want to read that book with that person, but after you just forget, because social media is like coming from Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. So yeah, but for buddy reads, actually, I like every time I will be like, oh, this book, maybe we should buddy read. If you want to buddy read it with me, just let me know. Or I will tweet something, or I will see someone who's looking for a buddy read, and then I will join. But to actually go to someone and ask, hey, I think you might enjoy this book. Would you like to buddy read with me? I've never done that. And I don't know if I feel comfortable enough to actually ask someone directly, especially if it's someone I don't know. Like if it's a friend, I will be like, okay, like in a normal conversation, do you want to buddy read this book with me? Yes, no, we move on. But someone I don't know and I feel like I could have a buddy read with, I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask that kind of advice. But in worst case scenario, that person is going to say no.
Yeah.
So
So I've actually found the people I buddy read with a lot through the Magical Readathon, because like G put up this list or Google document where you can enter what you want to read and your social media accounts, so that the people could reach out to you. And that's the way how I found people I buddy read with a lot these days. And we actually started buddy reading like in April when the readathon happened, and since then we continuously for every month buddy read something together, because we always just share our Goodreads list, like what we actually want to read in general. And then if we find a book that we have in common, we are just like, yeah, do we want to read it this month? So okay, let's do it. And actually this is the first month that I've took a break from buddy reads, just because it was a lot to buddy read every month. But it's really fun. It's a great experience. And I think thanks to readathons, you can actually find a lot of people to buddy read with.
yeah.
No more things to add?
You can find opportunities for buddy reads everywhere. Like I feel like it's not, if you really want to, just like some you shy to actually say that they want to read something with someone. So just share it, and with nothing bad's gonna happen. So I don't feel like, I mean,
yeah. Or maybe if you watch like a TBR video from another person and you just really want to read a book that they
Yes.
mentioned, just ask them if they would love to buddy read that with you.
True. Yeah.
It could also be a
That's
way
good
of
advice as
finding.
well.
Yeah. So, since we already made the bridge to the theme readathons already, which readathons do you participate in every year, or which do you like a lot?
I don't really do readathons, especially because, like as you said before, with the pressure of like the prompts, I sometimes do them when I know I have like the time to do it, and I really like the singular prompts. But other than that, I sometimes want to join for the community aspect, but I don't really have a thing I do every month. And I also only started doing them in like 2018 or something. So I started with the Magical Readathon, which now is being changed. And then I also started with the Reading Rush, which then was a bit meh. So I'm still looking, actually.
I started with the Magical Readathon as well, so I'm really curious to see what G is going to come with for next year. But the two other readathons I do every single time is the Believathon, so by Gavin over at How to Train Your Gavin. So it is a middle grade based readathon that I really enjoyed. And the other one is the Polathon by Jade over at Jade Reads, which you have to read books with wintry setting, so a polar fantasy, basically. Wintry setting in a book. It can be like YA, adult, middle grade, whatever. Those two are the ones I do every single year. And then sometimes I'm gonna do like the Dessert-athon by Esme, with books focusing on, desserts like hot weather, like warm weather, sand, etc., etc. And these are what I take time to be a part of, and then others I will see. But I find it like already overwhelming, like a month-long readathon. Like the Believathon is 1 month, the Polathon in February, like it's 1 week, so it's easier to focus for 1 week, I feel, like on a reading schedule, reading goals, than for a month. But yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, so the readathon the first readathon I probably participated in was the Medieval-athon by Holly Hodd's Books. Just because I love medieval settings in books as well, so that was just the perfect readathon to join. I also did a lot of the Magical Readathon, and so I'm really excited to see what she's coming up with, just like all of us probably are. And another readathon that I joined for the first time this year and found really great and interesting, and the person put so much work into it, was the Demon-athon.
Oh yeah, I forgot that one. Yeah.
Like creating a whole website and with all the cute stories and texts, it was just like overwhelming and amazing. And I wish I could have participated more actively in it, but work came in the way of really participating in it. So that's also why I find it really interesting that you say you like 1 week readathons, where I'm often like, I love it if they are like a month long, because if it's just 1 week, probably work is keeping me so busy that I don't have a chance in ever participating in it.
No, I feel you.
What you were saying with like work coming in the way, what I have like participated like each like once so far, but I would like to participate more in the Witchathon and the Zodiacathon on Twitter. The Zodiacathon is sometime in December, and the Witchathon, I think it's called the Witchathon by Crescent Moon Reads, I think, is like for the like witchy holidays. And I would love to participate more in them, and I really enjoy the prompts for these. Just they were usually when I had like my exams at uni and stuff, but I hope to be there next year, so yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Demonoton as well. Like, I forgot to mention the Demonoton, but it's by Yumi, so the same one who has
yeah.
the Sisterhood Traveling Book Club.
Mm.
So it's a very well thought readathon as well. But I said like I preferred 1 week. Why? Because it's easier for me to focus on 1 week or even try to take days off. Like I'm gonna take a week off for the next Peloton in February.
Mm.
Because like months long, I tend to be like, okay, I still have 3 weeks to finish those books. I still have 2 weeks to finish those
Yeah.
books.
Mhm,
And then I
mhm.
keep pushing them. And to be honest, like March, I've been working almost 12 hours every single day. And when it's like 1 week readathon, I can push all my energy and be reading there and give everything I have for 1 week and then
Yeah,
crash and stop reading
yeah.
and rest or whatever. So
Mhm.
usually I would prefer 1 month long, but now 1 week is what I can handle actually.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, that makes sense.
I just imagined Sasha like really having a lot of energy for the readathon, and once she returns to work, she's just like hanging in front of a monitor. Um, oh no. But I really do like this approach.
Mhm.
It's just I don't know. It really depends. Like so November is the month of the Believathon, and last year
Mm.
by that time I had read like at least 10 books.
Mm.
This month I've read like middle grade 3 books, I believe, or
Mm.
4. One that I started and finished yesterday, and 2 that I read last weekend because I was like, okay, it's time to read. It's the weekend. You're not working. Come on. And
Mm.
I don't know, the fact that it's months long and that I'm always tired. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm the only one, but
No, you're not alone.
No.
thank you.
I'm always so tired because of work at the moment that whenever I have free time, I'm just laying on the sofa and just do nothing, just enjoying the
Yeah.
silence and being
Mm.
like, no, I don't have even energy to hold a book up right now.
Yeah. Mm.
No, true.
Yeah, so, but also a really important theme with readathons are the prompts. So let's talk about them. Which really wanted to talk about prompts, and I believe I
Ish.
know why. Because they are really good prompts, and they are also prompts that are well overused, I would say.
Yeah, that. And I also think like, okay, there are 2 things I want to talk about. Like the first thing is like sometimes there are like prompts that are like on the one hand like very specific, and that's why they are fun. But on the other hand, they are like so specific that you're like, if I don't have like one singular book that fits it, that I will not be able to fulfill this prompt, or that are like not very like inclusive. For example, what was really annoying for me was, I think it was like last year, the reading rush or something, with a prompt that was like a fox on the cover. And I was like, that's nice and everything, but not everyone like owns their books or in physical format, then we don't have always like the same editions, and I just get very picky about my prompts. And a prompt pet peeve that I have is like when there are like rules that you cannot use multiple prompts for one book. Like it's different for like the Magical Readathon had always like the system of you finish one book and you get the next book for like one class. And that is okay, I think. But if you say like you got to read like 12 books in like 2 weeks or something, but you cannot stack up on the prompts, then I feel like this is like very inaccessible. And I get very picky about that. And bitter. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, like I love prompts because it helps me reading books that I was not thinking of, like that were waiting on my shelves to be read for ages or things like that. But now for me, there are two types of readathons. Like for instance, the Believathon, you have a prompt that is have some kind of mystery in the book, have some kind of friendship, have a villain or whatever. And I feel like those prompts are good for any type of readathons. I don't like it to be too specific. But now you have readathons like the Polyton. It's already a genre, a subgenre. So books with a wintry setting. So there, I will not mind if it says snow on the cover, or it's during Christmas, whatever, or it has a white fox on the cover, whatever. Then I won't mind because it's already specific to begin with. But yes, if it's a random readathon, and for instance, I talked before the Des Earthathon, so it's normally with a warm setting, etc. But actually, the two times I participated in it, I didn't read any books with a dessert in it. Dessert. I always mix dessert and dessert. Sorry, but because the prompts were like not that specific. It has a book with adventure, a book with whatever. So it really depends, I think, of the readathon.
Yeah.
So what you both say probably is that you would love more prompts to be about I've lost my words about what the book is about and what is about the content. Thank you. Than like the cover or like the look of a book.
It's just that, for instance, I love reading audiobooks and I love ebooks. I feel like I'm one of those people who almost prefer ebooks to physical books because you can read it like when I'm in bed, tired, I'm all under my blanket or whatever. It's easier to hold an e-reader than an actual book. But whenever I think of the books I need to read, I'm going to look at my shelf and see the books. When I have hundreds of ebooks in my e-reader that I don't think of because the prompt is actually that on the cover. And I never think about going on Goodreads or Google to check the cover. So that's why I prefer the content than, even if I will still look at my shelves and look at the books, but at least I have more options, you know?
But I think it depends. Like if it's like a purple cover, then I'm okay with it. But it's like a specific object on the cover, like for the content, I'm okay if it's like very specific. For the appearance or like the cover or whatever, it's for me better if it's like general. So I like to have also this visual thing because I, for example, don't really like ebooks because I don't know, this display thing just isn't for me. But then I look at my books, and because I have my books organized in rainbow, I can see, oh, red cover, this is what I still got to read. And I still have like quite a few selection to choose from.
Yeah.
If YA books wouldn't make it so hard by just being black all the time. It's the truth. Like
it's true. Yeah.
A lot of them are just black. Like I believe in the beginning of my booktube journey, I had just like nearly all black books.
Yes.
Like lining up in the shelves, and I was just like, how do I get some color into this? Sasha's looking at her shelves like
I joined the community 3 years ago. I still have all black books. I have a few blue and like one red, but that's it. Like I don't know how people do. That's maybe because most colorful books are contemporary or romancy type of books, and I don't read those genres, so that's maybe why. And I don't buy all exclusive covers every single time because of the price. So I don't have like unique, like, I don't know. But I love black. I'm fine.
Okay, do you have any more prompts that you want to gush about? Or maybe about inclusive, prompts that are very inclusive, maybe. Do we need more?
There is one prompt that I hate. Is the one that says the book has to have between 200 pages and 223 pages.
Oh,
I
Yes.
hate
yes.
that one.
Yes.
Even for challenges, you know, when you do like you have to find a book on your shelves that fits the challenge or the prompt, whatever. I just hate that one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What I find most funny about this, whenever there's a challenge video of that in it, is that I pick a book that is like this thin, and I'm just like, maybe, okay, no, so that's not enough pages. Then I take a bigger book, and then I see, what? Wait a moment, why is that less pages? And that's probably most
Yes.
often because they have like such content table in it or something, and I'm just like, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's just not true.
Mm.
So I always feel cheated by that.
It's kind of in the same category because of this like page thingy. My issue is not like, it's kind of annoying that it takes like pretty long to find them, but then for me it's also funny. My issue with that is that I have to look at how many pages I have, and I most probably end up spoiling myself. And for those watching, if you've ever watched any of my like TBR videos or something, I don't like knowing about books when I start to read them. And that's also why those, like usually like those prompts, but those prompts are like about friendship or like have like a fun family or something. For that, I have to basically know what the book is about or what is featured in the book. And that's sometimes for me also like, it's pretty, I just want to read it. I don't know what it's about. So that's also sometimes a bit difficult for me.
Yeah, like the prompt, hate to love prompt. You don't especially want to know about that before
Yes.
starting the
Yes.
book. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I often do with readathons, and if I want to pick my TBRs, I watch a lot of other people's TBR videos, just because they often chose the book because they know something about it, and I'm just like, oh, I have that book as well, so I'm just gonna put it onto my list and not listen anymore to what this book is about, because just like you said, I don't want to know. I just want to know if it fits the prompt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but if we are also into books, do you have any favorite books that you've read in a body read, in a book club, or in a readathon? Did you find a favorite book through one of these methods?
Don't Call the Wolf by Alexandra Ross, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, we read that for the Harding Pack. Yes. And then I made the Dreamy Reader read it, or at least I gave it a possibility to read it. I love that book a lot. And it's got like a special place in my heart. So that's probably my favorite that we read through a book club. Yeah.
I read it in December, I promise.
We could do a buddy read when we're at the topic.
There is only one that comes to my mind, and that's Ready Player One that I just read and just finished like last week. Like I wasn't expecting to love that book. Like I started that book, I totally forgot what it was about, and I was so like it was so immersive, and like sci-fi is really my favorite genre, even if I read mostly fantasy, because there are more fantasy than sci-fi, I feel. But I love that book. Really did love that book. I cannot wait for the sequel, but at the same time I'm scared because the first book came out like in like so many years ago. Was it in 2011? 10?
Maybe.
I cannot remember. And the sequel is coming soon. So I'm like, wow, that's a huge gap.
Yes.
So I'm scared.
So maybe, Sasha, you should start a sci-fi book club to take care of your sci-fi cravings.
Yeah, maybe that's actually a good idea. Why I never thought of it.
Like promote sci-fi books so that more people read sci-fi books and more authors are interested in writing sci-fi books, because people demand more sci-fi books. Start a revolution there.
Noted. I'm gonna write it down.
So yeah, I actually found a lot of books that I like through buddy reads, like the Shattered Sea series. Starting with Half a King is a buddy read, and it's one of my favorite series. Just because it's really grim dark and a lot of war elements, a lot of political intrigue, which is my absolute favorite thing in every book. I like that a lot. And then also I've started buddy reading the Wheel of Time series, which I enjoy a lot, but I also say this one is not for everyone, probably because it's just a really long series. And the first book especially reads just like a lot of the Rings book, and it's just really dense. But the books after that get a lot better. Like it's more like his writing style then. Oh, and also Terry Pratchett. I really did never know that I would enjoy this Terry Pratchett books until I buddy read them, or like one of my friends pressured me into reading it. But it was amazing. I really do like these books. I would also love to find like a book club for non-fictional books.
Yeah,
That
but I
would
think
be great.
it's like there are so many different things that you could read in like nonfiction. There's self-help, there's historical, there's like environmental, political, whatever. It's like very like niche, if that's a word. It's very difficult to find like something that interests you there, or that like is interesting like month after month, rather.
But I also have to say, thanks to buddy reads, I also sometimes really hated books because we discussed like all the things that are not good in these books, and then you're just like, this book is so awful. And a lot of people that had read this book on their own really enjoyed it, and because we saw more faults because we were also discussing it, and then we saw another and another and another, it just piled up, and then we just like totally crushed the book.
I'm so sorry, because that's what I was talking about earlier. I'm usually a person who like dissects a book, and like all the people who like just read for enjoyment really get mad at me then. So that's why you should see what people you are reading with.
Yeah, exactly. Because some people will be like, I liked it because of that, and that's it. And others will be like, okay, the writing style, the tense used at that time. So it depends how you read a book. But my first experience with a book club and buddy reads, because it was both at the same time, like we were reading like a series together, was the Throne of Glass series that I hate with every single cell in my body. And so I read the first one, I hated it. The second one, I hated it. The third one, I DNF'd. And that was actually, that put me in a reading slump for 2 months. And that's why I never push yourself reading a series, whether it's for a buddy read or a book club or readathon, whatever, don't push yourself. So yeah.
Okay, so since we already talked Sasha into creating a new book club, do you ever think about creating a readathon or maybe a book club?
Well, now that you're suggesting it, theoretically yes, but then I'm way too much of a mood reader to actually like be the one who provides this like regular thing. So I don't think. I mean, I would love to, maybe at some point, but I'm like also afraid that I cannot keep up with like this rules and structure and everything that I set myself. So yeah.
But I mean, it's your readathon or book club then, so you make all the rules. So
yeah, but then I make the rules and I break them myself.
So maybe you just make the mood reader readathon, and it's just about, I don't know, change the reading book 3 times a month and try to finish one of it.
Yes. That's a fantastic idea. Yes.
Yeah, especially
Maybe.
because there was
Yeah.
a readathon like a few weeks ago, or was it still going on? 1,000 Doors readathon, and like you were reading a book, then you opened the door, you went to the next step, then you picked a book, and it was one after the other. And I feel like it can be stressful for some people because you don't know what you will have to read, but at the same time you're just like, okay, now I feel to read that book for that prompt, let's see the other prompt the next day or whatever. And I feel like it could be something, I mean, inspired by that.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in this readathon, you can also be like, DNF a book. I don't know. This would also be an amazing prompt.
Yeah.
For mood readers.
Yeah.
Just providing you with ideas.
Great. Now I have to do that the whole day. Okay. But my Sunday is done for.
Sorry.
Not sorry though.
So Sasha, any readathons you want to create or new book clubs?
A new book club, no. I might change the hauling pack and to go with a sci-fi focused book club. That's but readathon, that's actually funny because this month I started working on a readathon for next year. I don't know if it's gonna happen. That's maybe just an idea I got or whatever. I'm also scared to actually start like to create a readathon, not because people will make fun of it, but because nobody's gonna want to join it. You know, it's also like stressful that way or whatever. So I'm still like working. It's gonna have teams, 5 teams. I don't know what I can say, what I cannot say. And it's focusing on a series I keep talking about and I love.
Okay.
We know.
So yeah, hopefully will come next year. And also, what's the best month for a readathon? Like,
I would
because
think
people
at the
have
beginning of the year.
exams. Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the year, you usually don't have your exams yet, or at least like not the people in school or the people like with regular uni. And with work, okay, I don't know how it is with work like in other industries, but for us, it's more like beginning of the year is more casual. And I think at the end of the year, it's not only like exams, but it's also like Halloween and Christmas and autumn and spooky season, and just a quick brain dump.
Yeah, I believe the first thing I would look for is which months are already packed with readathons.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And I would try to avoid these months because if there are already like 3 popular readathons happening at this time, it's probably hard to like bring a new one into that and have people join it. So
yeah,
I know that a lot are in spring, like in April is probably the start of most readathons, or like when the readathon year starts is often in April. April, sorry. And then I have the feeling that a lot of them are also in autumn, like with Halloween and spooky season. So also, Sasha, there's a lot of
you already have people to join.
Do it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying. I'm trying to do something cool that is very inclusive, that everyone can join, that is specific but not too specific either. So maybe to have like just one very specific prompt at the end that is really fitting like the theme of the readathon, but all the rest to be very vague. Brainstorming here, I shouldn't say anything, but yeah, I'm working on something.
We can brainstorm offline if you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have a lot of you have support.
Yes.
And
Yay!
people that
Thank
wanna
you,
join.
You
Daniela.
have people who join.
So no pressure, but I believe you have to do it now for next year.
No pressure.
No pressure. Huh?
No pressure.
Mm-mm.
Sasha gonna play Queen Under Pressure for the whole Sunday now. Um, so yeah.
And what
But-
about you?
What about you?
Oh yeah. So I've started thinking about creating a readathon that's based on plants and
Oh.
a little bit
Yeah.
more like inspired by nature, because this year I really developed understanding for how bad we are actually treating the planet, and I maybe want to bring some awareness towards that, maybe with a readathon. So that's something I want to work on, but it's also like, where do I start? What am I gonna do?
Yes.
What like which month, or what would be best, what prompts, what books are people gonna read for that, and still bring awareness, but also maybe trying to keep their books or genres that you choose really open is really hard. But I also do really like this team aspect of readathons. But then it's also, I don't know, you also have to find people for all of these teams to join. So it's really hard considering all of that. So I feel your pressure, Sasha. But I also don't know if I'm gonna do that next year, because I'm just over planning a lot of things and want to make everything perfect. So
But I feel like the thing that works or has been working for quite a while now is the themes, like the teams, to have teams. Not because then there are many co-hosts, but just because you are part of something in something. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yes.
it seems to work. So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Let's see if I can come up with something interesting there. So, but now also that we talked about readathons, and also readathons that we maybe want to create, and a readathon that Sasha wants to maybe do next year. Readathons you are looking forward to. I mean, we already have one now. It's gonna happen.
Like I said earlier, the next edition of the Monoton Peloton in February, and again the Believathon in November. But I would like to actually participate in a book club that pushes me to read books outside of my comfort zone, but not too much to push me, like to make me go through a reading slump or whatever. So I would like to try something different next year.
I think for me to get back into readathons and book clubs and stuff, I am very excited for the what's it called? The TBR Avatar by G. And also like to see if I can join one or both of the Twitter readathons I talked about earlier, and to just keep up with the ones I'm already like a part of the book clubs is probably my main goal. Yeah.
So I am thinking about finding readathons that really challenge me to read outside of my usual fantasy and YA genre. So that I maybe also a non-fiction one, like, or maybe a book club with non-fiction books would be great to find. I believe there are some out there. I've just haven't done any research for that one yet. And then, of course, gonna join the ones again that I'm joining every year, and then trying to get to them, but also I never know because of work, and
Yeah.
also I'm really looking forward to Sasha's one.
Yeah,
Sasha's
definitely.
readathon.
Definitely.
No pressure.
That's #1 priority.
Yeah. But you know, talking about readathons, the other type of readathons I also like are 24 hours readathons or 48 hours
Oh,
readathons.
yes.
Like, because these are read whatever the heck you want during 24 hours.
Yes.
And if you want to read 24 hours straight, do it. If you want to read like 12 hours out of those 24, do it. Just focus on reading that day. And I feel like it really helps me schedule some me time as well.
Yes, definitely. That's a good point, yeah.
So, anyone, anything else to add to buddy reads, book clubs, readathons?
It's all for fun. It's all for fun.
That's important.
I feel like we talked about what we liked and what we disliked in some, but whoever is watching this, you might feel completely different to what we said, and that's absolutely fine. There is no whatever police. You do you. You find what works for you, what makes you happy. If it's none of it, then it's none of it, and that's fine.
Yeah,
exactly.
You don't
to connect with people.
Yeah, you don't have to join or do any of these to just enjoy reading.
Right. True.
So, if nobody has anything to add, I think we are getting to the end of this live stream. And I wish everyone a really wonderful Sunday, and have a lot of great self-care time today. Relax a little bit before work is starting tomorrow for a lot of people. I don't know. Do you have to work tomorrow?
Uni.
I have to work.
Okay, so
yeah.
So as you can see, we also still need to relax, and that's why we now say goodbye and thank you all for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It was really
Take
nice
care.
chatting with you. Bye-bye.